Welcome back to the Plus Money Podcast, your home for the best soccer bets in 15 minutes or less. It's match day 16 of the Premier League. We have a Manchester derby on our hands. We have a weekend of derbies, honestly, all over the globe. And coming up off of another wild weekend in the wild week of the Champions League. I'm Andrew Passaro. Kyle Bonn is back on the podcast this week. Follow his work over at the Sporting News. Follow him on Twitter at _bonfire. We're 6 match days into the Champions League. How are you feeling about the new format? I'm kind of loving it.
I love it, man. I was just saying this the other day. The only thing I want to change is stop calling it the league phase because the Champions League phase is like it makes my ears bleed. But other than that, and I hate writing it too. I refuse. I split them up. I just word it so that I don't say Champions League phase. But other than that, I think it's a blast. I think the idea was supposed to, in theory, give big clubs more room for error. And yet we've got PSG, Man City, and Real Madrid all like in the relegation battle, if you will, with 2 games to go. So it's awesome.
I fully agree. It's been electric. It's been a lot of fun to gamble on. That Retegui shot in the 90 plus fourth minute for Atalanta hit a plus 500 bet for me because I had Atalanta 20 shots in that game. So I'm having fun with it. But let's have fun with this weekend because I've been doing better on weekends than I've been doing on Champions League. It's a fun weekend in the Prem. We'll start with Wolves Ipswich, the 10 o'clock game. And I wasn't going to bet this game, and I was literally walking out of work talking with some coworkers about it, and I somehow talked myself into it. You know that Ipswich have not kept a clean sheet in any Premier League game this season. And Wolves also not good at keeping clean sheets. So both teams are scoring over 2.5 and minus 110 is good enough for me. I also like the over 3.5 at plus 175. I'm expecting goals in this game. Two guys that if you want to look at for goal scorer props, for shot props, Cunha in particular for Wolves has been very good for them. If you can get him score or assist at plus 125 or better, that's a play. And Liam Delap for Ipswich, another one of those City Academy guys that's going on to have a very good season so far in the Prem. Another guy to look at in that game. Wolves are a favorite. They're minus 110, and they are 4-1-0 in their last 5 matches as a favorite, which is interesting. I would not bet them money line personally, because this screams 2-2, 3-3, 4-4. I maybe not 4-4, but this screams a game with a lot of goals and bad defense. But I think it could sneaky be okay. I won't be watching it. I will in fact be watching the Liverpool Fulham game, which you have picks for.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be all over Ipswich, to be honest with you. I think this is a great chance for them at plus 280. Love that. And yeah, I know they're away, but I just don't see any consistency in Wolves, home or away. I mean, they got pummeled 4-0 by Everton. Anything can happen. And they got beat 4-2 by Bournemouth at home. I think this is I'm with you on both teams to score. I love it. Ipswich are one of those teams like Southampton, not as much as Southampton, but still similarly where they are going to play how they're going to play and they'll lose every game of the season, but they're going to play how they're going to play. And with Southampton, it feels stupid. With Ipswich, it feels not smart, but not stupid because like they can at least kind of do it. Southampton just can't. But Ipswich can, even though they're losing a bunch of games. So, will it turn around? I don't know, but they could probably snatch a win like this. I would, if you're ever going to take Ipswich, it would be here. I would actually like probably be more inclined to take Ipswich, especially given the odds here against Wolves than I would be against Southampton.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just see hysteria in this game. I also like a first half over 1.5 in this game if it's a good number. I expect goals. Wolves are. I don't hate Gary O'Neill as a manager, but he's a guy who I just don't think is going to have a job for much longer because they can't stop the goals at the back. But the game I will be watching at 10 o'clock is Liverpool Fulham. I'm waiting for lineups for this game, and then I will bet it. I'll bet shot props because I'm just kind of waiting to figure out. Well, Alexis McAllister suspended. Luis Diaz is um, Luis Diaz started in the Champions League, so maybe it's a Cody Gakpo game. But I'll find a shot prop parlay to build once we get lineups. But I'm not touching the value because Fulham are good. They're a good
Just
team.
Just
Liverpool will
throw it
win.
over here, Andrew. I got you. I got you on this one. So it's funny because like I'm assigned right at work. I gotta make picks in the games I'm assigned. I gotta pick the biggest game. So Liverpool's playing. They're playing a team that could cause them some problems. So my boss says you're gonna make picks in this game. I looked at it and I said I hate it. I hate it all. It's all terrible. I have no idea what's gonna happen in this game. I could see Fulham challenging, but then Fulham have everybody hurt and suspended. So they're without Calvin Bassey. They're without Tom Kearney. Both those players are suspended. Joshim Anderson is hurt, so he's out. So that's both starting center backs. So now you've got two backup center backs for Fulham and Issa Diop, who's terrible, and I don't rate him at all. And I really, really struggle whenever he plays because they paid 18 million euros for him and he's not been any good. And then a guy whose name I can't even say and I couldn't tell you anything about him because he was a new signing in the summer and has barely played. So you've got two backup center backs for Fulham, so that kind of ruins that. Um, then you're without Reece Nelson because he's hurt for like 10 weeks. So you're all in on Adama Traore, who's had a good year. And then, it's at Anfield. So as much as I think Fulham could normally give Liverpool a game here, I'm almost like talked myself out of that. But then I tried to talk myself into both teams to score. It's minus 110. I just can't get my head around it. So where did I go? And this is where it all comes back, shot props. And you were hitting the nail on the head with what you were saying before, which is why I was like, hey, just come here, I got you. The lineup I think they're going to go with is Nunez has just not been good. I think he comes out. I think Diaz moves to the middle, and I think Gakpo comes in on the left wing. Whether it's Diaz or Nunez through the middle, you're going to get Gakpo on the left, and I'm all in on Cody Gakpo in this game. Fulham, what they do is they let you take a bunch of shots as long as they're not good shots because they know Bernd Leno's really good. And as long as you're not taking high quality shots, they think Bernd Leno can make the saves. So Liverpool's shot totals are totally torched in this game. They're terrible. But if you take Cody Gakpo, 2+ shots on target, you can get plus 175. And if you just
Ooh.
want Cody Gakpo anytime goal scorer, you can get him at 145. I like both of those a lot. I think there's goals in this game. I just don't know if Fulham can come to the table on it. Um, if Liverpool get frustrated, that's where Fulham can make things happen. I just think Liverpool's too good, and I love Gakpo on the left against Fulham's worst fullback. You're going to get Salah against Anthony Robinson, which is a tough matchup for Salah and Anthony. That's going to be fun to watch, but I think you go the other side, Gakpo against Tete or Castagna, and Diop's the center back on that side too. It's too juicy.
I will tell you as the Liverpool fan of the two of us, Cody Gakpo doesn't have a ton of assists, so don't waste your money on score or assist. Just go in on the goal scorer prop. I like all of that. Everything. Cody Gakpo is the guy I think this weekend, and I agree with you. I think we could see Diaz down the middle in this game.
Oh, and then one more is Diop to be yellow carded is plus 290. He's
Ooh.
not, he doesn't have a ton of bookings this year, but because he's not good and because he's paired with the center back who's a fourth stringer and on Gakpo's side will probably get a lot of volume. I like it. And he's been booked 3 times in his 6 career games against Liverpool.
There we go. Love that. The big 12:30 game. Probably about 4 weeks ago would have been a really big game, but it's still a local derby. It's Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, little Midlands action. Um, I think Aston Villa might have played themselves through their sticky patch. They've now won 3 on the bounce, getting that late result against RB Leipzig. And then additionally, I'm just kind of out on Nottingham Forest at this point. Both teams are sitting plus 165. Very trappy. Villa team total over 1.5 is plus 132. They've hit that in 7 of their 12 road games and 12 of their 23 games all season. But Forest have only, I don't think they've given up 2 goals at home yet this season, which the City Ground can be a tough place. I know Forest have a good record at against Fulham, against Villa at home, but this is more of like I'm not in love with Aston Villa, but I'm fading Nottingham Forest in this situation because I kind of feel like the magic has it's worn off. Like this is like Big Ange going, the Tottenham Magic at the beginning of the season last season. Um, Forest for this team this year, and at this point, I think it's worn off.
I agree with you on Forest, which is why I'm staying completely away from this game. Look at the 3 wins for Villa. You've got 3-1 against Brentford at home, which is a good win, but Brentford aren't great defensively. You've got a 1-0 home win over Southampton, which is terrible. And you've got a 3-2 road victory over RB Leipzig, which is good because it's on the road in Germany, which, anytime you go on the road in Europe, it's tough. But RB Leipzig aren't really good. They've already been eliminated from the Champions League. I think they have 0 points or
That
close to
was
it.
that was the game that eliminated them. They had to get a result in that game, and Villa, put the foot on the throat.
I'm not ready to get back on the Aston Villa bandwagon yet.
I 100% respect your opinion on that, but it is a tough board this weekend. That will bring us to Sunday. And we've all rivalry games here on Sunday that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk really quickly about Old Firm, Celtic Rangers. Then we'll talk Brighton Palace. Weird. Don't remember why it's a derby, but I know these fans hate each other, so it's a derby. Chelsea Brentford, I guess, isn't fully a derby because Brentford isn't really in London, but that's a good game. And then the Manchester derby. Celtic Rangers. Rangers getting a nice result in the Europa League today. Both teams drawing actually in Champions League. But Celtic have had the better half of this rivalry, and Rangers not exactly having their best season in Scotland. I know Aberdeen have been kind of giving everybody some trouble, sans Celtic. But this is always a big game when these two rivals play. I know it's early Sunday morning, and I think if you had to have a top five rivalry game in soccer, it's up there. What are your thoughts when these two teams will play early Sunday morning?
Yeah. So I don't have any like official picks on it yet because I'm going to do a preview for it eventually. I haven't done it yet, but I think this is a fun one because so I watched Rangers today play Tottenham. It was a very silly game. Both teams were really sloppy in midfield, had good attacking intent and couldn't finish. So it ended up 1-1. Um, it was just a very wacky game. And I like Celtic to win because I like their minus 150 line. I think there's decent value in that for the better team at home. I think, you would be hard pressed to get much better than that. And they're just too good at home. And they take advantage of mistakes a lot better than Rangers right now. I think you can probably get both teams to score. I like it. If you look back at the last game, they played Celtic won 3-0, but the XG was pretty close. It was 1.5 to 1.1. So I think you could, go for a reversal there a little bit. Rangers will give them a game. They usually do, but I like Celtic to win that. But that's always a fun one. I mean, that game is always bonkers from a fan perspective. Ibrox, it's at Celtic, but Ibrox today for the Tottenham game was bumping. They scored first right out of the second
Hmm.
half, and that place lost its mind. I mean, the roof exploded, mostly probably because Ange is a former Celtic guy, so like they were
Yeah.
probably super juiced for that game, but that was bonkers. I mean, the fans get up for those teams.
Yeah, big time. All right, Brighton are taking on Palace. I don't know how the number is minus 120 Brighton money line against Crystal Palace. I'm not buying Crystal Palace, and I am absolutely buying stock in Brighton. Their team total over 1.5 is minus 130. They have done that. They've scored two or more goals in 12 of their 18 games this season. Seven of those 12 are wins. I do think they get goals at home. Brighton and over 1.5 will get you to a plus number at plus 110. I really like that Brighton team total over 1.5 as like a parlay piece if it moves because they're gonna score two goals in my opinion. That should be I don't know like this Brighton team. There's just too many pieces and they're doing well all the time and they don't have the European fixtures to bog them down this season. So love the Seagulls. Uh,
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, Palace coughed up 2 goals to a broken Man City. So like I think it's there for them. I mean Brighton minus 120 is juicy. Like that's again, home favorite at almost even money. Hard to do much better than that.
yeah, Chelsea are taking on Brentford. I'm on Chelsea and both teams to score here. Brentford are one of the best Premier League clubs at home this season and one of the worst Premier League clubs on the road. Both teams to score has hit in 15 of the 18 Brentford games, 13 of 21 for Chelsea. But you got to remember, of those 21, they're playing like Noah FC and they're playing some random team in Kazakhstan today in the Europa League. So you got to remember that a bunch of these games are Europa League games. But 13 times they've gone both teams to score. Five of the eight Brentford road games have been both teams to score. I expect Chelsea to take care of that. I'm not playing it, but it's an interesting number, especially against Chelsea that don't have a great defense yet. Brentford team total over 1.5 at plus 230. They haven't done that on the road yet. So I'm not saying play it, but I'm saying it's an interesting number. If this was at home, I would absolutely be taking Brentford over 1.5, but we're not. So um, I will not be watching that game very closely, but it is an interesting matchup on Sunday.
It is the numbers are just skewed, and that's what's tough about this one. I mean, both teams to score like I would have been all over that, but it's minus 175. Over 3.5 goals is minus numbers, so like, it's tough.
Yeah. That's why I'm just sticking with Chelsea and both teams to score. That brings us to the Manchester
Yeah,
Derby. And this is you talked about games that you didn't know how to bet. And this is I've always struggled with this Derby. Of all the big games that we profile on this podcast every single year. This game is like, oh, this is the time that City should pummel United and then United somehow win. Or it's like a 1-1 game with no corners, no shots, and it's like a knife fight. And you've got I mean, it's like it's the worst scenario for this game because you've got City that I think have one win in 10. They have eight losses, one draw, and then you have United that they're figuring it out on the fly and they don't have the personnel to run this new manager system. So I looked at a lot of things here. United plus one at minus 115 is it's not bad. It's really not bad, especially with the forms that he's on. Holland anytime goal score at minus 135. I hate to give out an anytime goal score number as a minus number, but I don't hate that either. Um, I found a place that I want to go is shots. United 11 shots at plus 105. They've hit that total in 18 to 23 games this season. And City have given that total up in three of their last four. United 12 shots plus 160, 13 shots plus 240. Um, I don't hate that. They're shooting the ball a lot this season. And City are being giving up a lot because just they're all over the place defensively. And ordinarily, I would tell you to go to the corner market here and just hit the highest number you can. And I looked it up. Under 10.5 corners at plus 120 might actually be the way to go. The last 10 City games, it's only hit four times. But for the last 10 United games, it's hit seven. And the last 10 head to head, it's hit seven times. Um, I think this is going to be a really ugly 1-1 game, if I'm being totally honest with you. But you may see it differently.
I think it's gonna be. I'm so excited for this game. I'm so excited as a fan. I can't wait to watch a broken Man City play a Manchester United team that you said they're figuring it out. Rasmus Højlund today, after their Europa League game, literally told reporters, he was like, yeah, training doesn't really help with Amorim's system. We're literally using games as training. That's how figuring it out they are. They are literally learning the system in games because like training doesn't even do it really for them. So uh I am very excited to watch these two teams run into each other. The one I love a draw. Regardless of how it happens, love a draw because it just feels like there's so much to gain for both teams here that the appropriate result is just going to be that neither one of them gets it. Um, I the one number that I cannot get away from is in games like this where you can't figure it out, go with the easy one. I do like your Holland one. I'll give you this. Kevin De Bruyne anytime assist plus 125.
Ooh.
That is about as good as you're going to get in a weird, I don't know what the hell is going to happen in this game. As long as he doesn't get hurt, plus money for De Bruyne to get an assist is great. Is he going to get an assist in one out of every two games? No, but he'll have the numbers for it, if that makes sense. Like he'll put up 0.5 XA a game easily. That guy's magical and it's just never going away. The only thing that age is doing to him is breaking his body more. So as long as he can stay fit for the full 90 minutes, That's where I'm going.
I like that a lot. All right. Last couple housekeeping things here, real quick. Jumping to my two favorite European bets. Alaves are taking on Athletic Club. Athletic Club have won eight straight. They're plus 120 money line. And Alaves are winless in five. Doesn't make sense taking Athletic Club. I also like their team total over 1.5 was plus 165. Might have moved since their win yesterday, but Bilbao have done that in five straight and 11 of 23 games this season. And Alaves have given up that total in 10 of 18. Um, don't not overcomplicating it. Athletic Club are a very good team, not a bad Europa League winner shout. Based on the teams in that tournament, they are on top of the table, so I'm sure it'll be a very chalky number. And then jumping to a very interesting game in Germany, real quick. Leipzig are taking on Frankfurt. Um, the second favorite Egyptian of this podcast scored again today. Omar Marmoush, anytime goal scorer, plus 165. Scored coming off the bench today. He's plus 165 against Leipzig. Leipzig are a mess. I think if they don't get a result in this game, it is bye bye to the manager. Frankfurt team total over 1.5 at plus
They also
120.
have a million guys injured, so
Yes.
that doesn't really help either. And a player suspended for the game as well. So yeah,
Leipzig, our Frankfurt team total over 1.5 is plus 124. They did that today in a loss on the road at Lyon, but Leipzig have given up that total. So they haven't given up that total a ton, but they've given it up against like the bigger German teams. They haven't played Bayern yet, but they gave it up to Wolfsburg, Hoffenheim, Leverkusen, and Dortmund this season. So I do like Frankfurt to score twice. Their Frankfurt money line is plus 210. Draw no bet is plus 135. I think it's a draw no bet play and maybe a sprinkle on the money line if you're feeling cheeky. And then the both teams have scored parlay for this weekend stretches across Saturday and Sunday. It's plus 287. We talked about Wolves Ipswich, 13 to 17 Wolves games and 11 of 16 Ipswich games. Then we're going to France. Reims are taking on Monaco. It's 19 to 20 or 12 of 20 Monaco games and 9 of 14 Reims games. And then Chelsea Brentford, which we talked about earlier. It's 15 of 18 Brentford games have been both teams to score. They cannot keep a clean sheet, and 13 to 21 Chelsea games. It's a plus 287 three-leg parlay for the weekend. I will have more picks on social, so make sure you're following me. I have another parlay that I'll give out, and I have some picks in Italy and some picks in France that I will stick on the socials and go follow Kyle on socials at the underscore bonfire. You can go get his full write-ups for a bunch of the games this weekend, including his full write-up for the Old Firm on Sunday morning. And he'll we'll it's all we're approaching the end of the Champions League season in about a month, so I'm sure he'll be doing some big breakdowns of possible futures of teams to win the tournament. You can go check out his work. Kyle, thank you for coming on. Enjoy your holiday season. I know it's gonna get really busy and we're gonna have games every day and it's the best time of the year. So excited to have you on the show today. Everybody bet responsibly this weekend. Have a good weekend and enjoy Army Navy if that's your thing on Saturday. Um, See you next week.